Abortion's the biggest crime in the history of the United States.
To force somebody to carry a pregnancy to term they don't want is a form of torture.
Today, there is only one war that is being fought in every country on the planet. Not the war on terror, not the war on drugs. It's the war on women. And access to safe and legal abortion is at the front line of that war.
These incidents won't stop people from providing reproductive health care services.
There's another element fueling new conflict, a combination of drugs, mifepristone and misoprostol, together known as the abortion pill, which allows women to self-administer abortions in their own homes, away from the pickets and judgments of the world. The story of this controversial medication is one of international struggle, of a battle being fought off the shores of Ireland, the suburbs of Texas, the skies of Poland, and the pharmacies of Mexico. This is the story of the abortion pill and the people who don't want you to take it.
Imagine sitting at a table with your mom and your grandma. Statistically speaking, one of you will get an abortion by the time you're 45.
A lot of people assume that abortion is a surgery, which can sound intimidating, but it can actually be as simple as taking a few pills. Developed in France in 1980 under the name RU486, medical abortions are less invasive, safer, and more private than surgical abortions. What's more, they could be the key to circumventing arbitrary laws and putting a woman's destiny, quite literally, in their own hands. The abortion pill is sometimes confused with Plan B, the emergency contraceptive women can take up to 72 hours after sex that prevents pregnancy. The abortion pill is different.
The medical abortion exists of two medicines. One is called mifepristone and the other misoprostol. The mifepristone blocks the hormone that's necessary to keep the pregnancy intact. And the misoprostol, which is taken 24 hours later, it's causing contractions of the womb so that the pregnancy that's ended is being expelled. It's very similar to miscarriage. And so the drugs are a revolution for women because with medical abortion they can do it themselves safely at home. The medicines are also on the list of essential medicines of the World Health Organization, which means that there are medicines that are so important for women's health that they advise governments to make them available.
Despite the recommendations of the World Health Organization, non-surgical abortions remain illegal in many countries. Texas, where Roe v. Wade was filed in 1970, is ground zero for the legal battle over abortion rights in the U.S. In Texas, the only legal way to obtain the abortion pill is at an abortion clinic. Over the last 2 years, new legislation has effectively created a chokehold of strenuous regulations on abortion providers. These laws led to massive shutdowns, and the number of abortion clinics dwindled from 42 to 16. Those remaining could become as few as 7, providing the only access to safe abortions and the abortion pill in a state of 27 million people and 250,000 square miles.
The Rio Grande Valley is wonderful. I mean, I love it. It's so big yet so small, and it's so diverse. It is vastly Hispanic, but there is a mix of everything. It's very unique border culture, and you see that in every border town, but it's very special here.
Do you guys have a typical kind of patient that comes in here?
There is no typical kind of woman that has an abortion. All women, all backgrounds, all sorts of life, all the time.
Yeah, so you can show me around?
Yeah, sure. It's very simple. There's nothing special, nothing scary about an abortion clinic. It's just like, doctor's office. That's really all it is.
Whole Women's Health serves women like Maria, a 27-year-old mother of 2. Because of the stigma associated with abortion, she asked that we conceal her identity.
So can you tell me what's going on today?
Today I'm here to take the first pill to have the abortion. I already have 2 children. I'm divorced. For my future and my goals, another child would just not be okay. So I'm actually entering the police academy. It's just like something I've always really wanted to do. That was one of my goals, having the kids. It's like, you know what, as soon as they're old enough, I'll be able to do something because they're in school and my parents can help me and stuff like that. So that was one of the goals. So when this had happened, I was like, that was one thing that just stuck in my head. You know, having a 3rd child would be harder for me because I know how it is. So I decided that it was best for me not to. Having to come to terms with the decision, that would probably just be the toughest part. But I got over it, and this was my option. So.
Once you spend time with a woman where she gets to share her story about why she chose to have an abortion, and she shares that with you, a total stranger, that is such an honor. And it's definitely the reason why this work became my passion.
Abortion access isn't only a domestic problem. In countries across the globe, women are also denied access depending on what side of a border they live on. We heard about one woman in Europe who's using unconventional ways to get women access to the abortion pill, while at the same time bringing attention to abortion rights. So we traveled to Amsterdam to meet Dr. Rebecca Gomper, founder of Women on Waves and a veteran in the abortion war.
Hi, hello,
Nice to meet you.
come in.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This is the office. Women on Waves started 15 years ago with the idea that if you have a Dutch ship and you go to countries where abortion is illegal, you can take women on board, sail to international waters, and provide safe abortion services to them. And so we did the first campaign in Ireland in 2001.
With abortion illegal in Ireland, Rebecca thumbed her nose at the government and attempted to perform medicinal abortions in international waters.
So what the ship does, it's playing with the undetermined legal spaces.
As a result of their campaign in 2001, Women on Waves was able to create a media frenzy in Ireland, which started a dialogue around abortion rights.
The only way to change this situation is if Irish government is legalizing abortion, as every country all over the world where abortion is illegal.
They continued on this path with campaigns in Poland, Portugal, Spain, and Ecuador. Now, nearly 15 years later, Women on Waves are attempting to deliver the abortion pill to women in a new way. For the first time ever, they will use a drone to deliver the abortion pill to Poland.
So what is going to happen is the drone is going to take off from Germany with medical abortions, and it will land in Poland, where there will be a couple of women waiting, where the drone will deliver the medicines to them, and they will take it there. The whole point of the campaign is to point out that medical abortions should be available in Poland itself. And so the drone is a way that you can actually bring the medicines there and deliver them to women themselves.
So it's kind of underscoring how arbitrary these laws are. If you can just be like 8 minutes away and you can get this pill really safely, and then it's just in this other area, you can't.
Yeah, you can't access abortions. Yeah, and that's also interesting because it's all Europe. There's supposed to be no real borders anymore, but there's very real borders in concerning women's rights and the respect for women's autonomy.
Rebecca, the drone operator, volunteers, and a gynecologist, headed from Amsterdam to Germany to begin preparations for their drone mission.
Abortion in Poland is only allowed when the health of the mother is at risk, or the life of the mother, or in cases of severe fetal anomalies. But often in these cases, even women don't have access to an abortion because doctors refuse to provide it. And so the official abortion rate in Poland now is 744. But we know that between 50,000 and 150 or 200,000 abortions are taking place every year.
Wow. And What's the safety of something like that? I mean, hundreds of thousands of women administering their own.
The alternative is that women are using invasive methods with knitting needles or jumping off stairs or trying to use force. And that is what is really dangerous.
To me, like, if women are in danger, if, you know, they're not provided with access to this, like, what does banning abortion actually do?
It's causing social injustice, that's all. Because what it means is that women that have money and that have access to information, they will always be able to access safe abortion services. So they can travel abroad, or they can find a doctor that is willing to do it illegally for a high cost. It's really only the women that are poor, that don't have information, that are suffering the consequences from these laws. And they are the ones that are looking for the unsafe services that are very cheap. You know, we get stories from women that read that, for example, taking a lot of vitamin C helps, or they drink bleach. Women try everything to enter pregnancies if they don't want to be pregnant. I prefer that everybody gathers at the place where the drone is going to land, and that there are only very few people at the place where the drone is leaving, because I think the focus has to be on Poland. Do you agree with that? Yes. Yeah? So then the drone flies over, it's only a few minutes, it's really quick. And then when the drone comes in, the women need to take the pills off the drone and take it and swallow it.
In case there are many protesters around us, we have been thinking of maybe making a protection circle.
It's a good idea because in Poland we have seen some pretty aggressive demonstrators that throw with paint, with eggs, with things like that. Right. Is everybody comfortable to do that?
Yes.
Can anybody raise their hand if they're not? No. Okay.
If something happened and if police arrested us, we can't say anything.
Don't say anything to the police. If one thing you will say to the police, I want to call to my lawyer.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you will say.
Okay. So, I think the statement has to be, you can confiscate the tablets from the drone, you can do anything you want, but you cannot stop this.
The Oder River is the border that separates Germany and Poland. The drone, with abortion pills attached, will launch on the German side of the border and must successfully cross the river to land on the banks of the Polish side.
In the end, we do it because we want women in Poland to know that abortion is not a taboo and that medical abortion is available in case they need it.
Hoe laat is het gegaan? Wat betreft afspraken? Die is al klaar ervoor, hè?
Zijn wij klaar? Dat is eigenlijk klaar. Zijn wij?
Ja, we zijn ongeveer klaar, ja. Nee, echt om 11 uur.
Rebecca watches from the shores of Poland, hoping her drone will safely make it over the river from the German side.
Heb je politie?
Waar?
Zo ziet eruit.
Ja, dat is de border police.
Drohnen bitte wieder runter. So, ich sag's jetzt noch einmal, dann reiße ich Ihnen das Ding aus der Hand. Wir haben ja nicht rechts. Wir haben sofort zurück. Verstehen Sie das nicht?
No, there it is, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
De politie doet moeilijk hier. Wat is het probleem?
Wir werden Straftaten begangen. Hier werden Verstöße gegen das Arzneimittelgesetz in Deutschland begangen.
Das ist keine deutsche...
Das ist doch unfair.
So Gunilla is like smartly being a decoy, and they didn't even realize that the drone went away, and they're taking care of the drones landing on the other side.
Musst du hier weiter kurz auf die Winde mit den Links hier passiert. Okay.
Shit.
Once the police on the German side confiscated the drone controller and it crash landed on the Polish side, we crossed the bridge to Poland to meet with women on waves. By the time we made it there, anti-abortion protesters had arrived.
Dlaczego kobieta feministka zgadza się na zabicie kobiet, małych kobiet? Dlaczego?
A dlaczego pani każe kobietom robić to, co nakazuje pani ideologia?
Zobaczmy, ten model, początek 10 tygodnia. To nie tylko te kształty, no widać nóżki, to widać, jest coś niesamowitego. Paluszek nie tylko na tym modelu tego dziecka włożony jest do ust, ale faktycznie w tym stadium rozwoju prenatalnego.
Mam tu w ręku dziecko w 10. tygodniu ciąży.
I've had a baby. I have. It doesn't look like that.
Właśnie wyglądało.
I don't want to discuss abortion with you, but the only thing I will tell you, I'm a gynecologist, and I often have patients who tell me I am against abortion, but I need one. So in case you are against abortion, but you need one, know that there are safe medicines which you can use to have a safe procedure. That is the only thing I want to say to you, and I wish you all the best. No thanks. Thank you very much for your attention.
You can take it if you want.
Nie robimy różnicy między kobietą a dzieckiem. Mówimy człowiek i człowiek.
Podczas aborcji zabijane są kobiety.
I know I'm supposed to be objective, but as a woman, it's like who's had an abortion and who's had a child, it's impossible to be objective. These activists have like balls of steel to be able to be around these people all the time because I don't know if I could do that.
The polarization and protest around the abortion pill debate are all too familiar for abortion clinics in the U.S.
Ruega por nosotros los pecadores, ahora y en la hora de nuestra muerte. Amén.
Have you guys received threats since you reopened?
We always have, even before we close. You know, we come in every day to work, and first thing that happens, 7:50, when the staff is walking in, is these people yelling at us and telling us how the many ways we're gonna burn. Bomb threats, we've had a couple.
So we've had the outside cameras taken out. We've had our phone lines cut. But then trying to find out where we live or what school our kids go to, yeah, they do that.
I've been told that they're gonna chase me with a hatchet. I went into a hardware store once and I ran into one of the picketers that was always here. And he went off on me in the middle of the store, pointing at me, and she's a killer, and she's awful, and look at her right there. It was just numbing, and everybody just sort of froze. But it takes a lot for the authorities to take action. I mean, sometimes you feel like unless you're beat up, bleeding from your head, that you can show that you actually were harmed, they're not gonna take action. We are members of the National Abortion Federation. Mm-hmm. This is something they offer, which is a guide to anti-abortion extremists. And we have here security protocols, security measures, and then historical information on, who's done what. Are they extremists? Are they aggressive? Are they violent?
Arrests. All the arrests. So what group have you had to alert NAF to recently?
Caballeros de San Miguel, which translates into the Knights of St. Michael. They have different groups in Mexico, and I guess this is the first one they have here. They're not necessarily violent, but definitely aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they'll end up in this thing?
I hope not. Mm-hmm. I really hope not.
We are here to pray to Virgin Mary to help the babies that are being killed in here. Several clinics as this one has been closed, and we keep praying for this one to be closed as well.
Implorando tu asistencia y reclamando tu auxilio, haya sido abandonado por ti.
Have you ever seen any of the protesters come in for services?
Yes, a couple of times. A physician that used to work with us, he particularly remembered her because she was pretty active, pretty, loud. Mm-hmm. And he had the conversation with her, and she explained how difficult it was in her church and that she couldn't, continue with the pregnancy. And he said, I understand, and I'm here to help you, and you're gonna be okay, and it's gonna be fine. And she stopped coming to protest for about a month.
That's it.
And then she came back. Wow. And then she came back. I don't want to care about that you want to beat me up, whatever. We're here for the patients, we're here for the women, and we listen to their stories, and we know that we are on the right side.
We wanted to speak more with someone from the other side of the debate. The Knights of St. Michael suggested Yolanda Chapa.
This is a Catholic pregnancy center, and so what we try to do is establish a friendship with the girls We help them with their proof of pregnancy, with choosing doctors, if they choose to give their babies up.
You said choosing doctors, so is this not a medical facility?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you always wear a white coat?
We always wear a white coat.
Okay.
And so
why?
So that we look professional. Yes.
And then if a woman decides after coming here that she still wants to
terminate her pregnancy.
Yeah.
If you choose to terminate your pregnancy, please come back and see us. We have wonderful post-abortive retreats for them that help them to forgive themselves, because I think that's the hardest part for a woman who has aborted, is to forgive herself. The majority of women that come here have become addicted to drugs, to alcohol. They are depressed, and many are, have told us that they've even considered suicide.
From having an abortion?
From having abortions. And I have experience because I have friends who have aborted.
Yolanda wanted to show us her favorite part of the pregnancy center.
So I'll show you the chapel.
I welcome these beautiful guests. I just would pray, Lord, and ask that you protect them wherever they travel, whatever they publicize. May it glorify your holy name. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Recently, I had a real unusual experience. I was standing in the alleyway with my rosary, and it was storming that morning. And all of a sudden, here comes the manager from Whole Women's Health Center, barreling down the alleyway with the abortionist. There was this diabolical force that just threw my rosary onto the pavement and broke it. And it was little red beads, and to me it was like the blood of Jesus that was being just spilled on the pavement.
You're looking live as State Senator Wendy Davis of Fort Worth filibusters a vote on the abortion bill.
The Democratic senator is planning to speak for 13 hours straight.
I'd say that if you vote for this bill, you're simply happy to ignore medical science and watch women and children die for no reason.
Former Texas State Senator Wendy Davis famously filibustered against the passage of a controversial bill which came to be known as HB 2, or House Bill 2. Under its passage, access to the abortion pill has been severely restricted. Now, under Texas law, a woman must visit a physician 4 times to get a pill that she once could take at home. HB 2 reignited the abortion debate in Texas, and despite Wendy's filibuster, it was eventually passed by then Governor Rick Perry in a special state congressional session.
That bill was denying essentially access to women to use the most convenient and the most effective method of early terminations of pregnancy on the market, and that's the RU486 drug. It wasn't prohibited, but women's access to using that drug was severely hampered because under Texas law now, women have to make 4 visits to the clinic in order to adhere to the legal standards.
Can you think of any other instance where in Texas somebody would have to go to a doctor's office 4 times to take a couple pills?
There's no instance that I'm aware of. Why would a woman need to come in and take the drug in a doctor's presence? And there is no answer to that question. The author simply said, because we feel it would be safer, because we believe it would be safer. It's a paternalistic notion. It is sexism to its core.
What is in it for them to be passing these laws? Is it simply religious beliefs?
I don't think that the people who are working to advance these bills really, for the most part, have a dying commitment on the issue. What they understand, though, is that making abortion the boogeyman motivates their base to come and vote. The bills that were filed were not bills that were actually originated in a legislator's office, but instead by third parties who have a particular interest that they are trying to advance.
It's lobbyists, like Joe Poyman from Texas Alliance for Life, who draft anti-abortion legislation.
We're very involved in drafting several of the components. House Bill 2, in particular, was the drug-induced abortion component. The physician should be present when the woman is taking RU46. Women in Texas had been giving that pill at their homes, which can cause a lot of hemorrhaging, which imposes danger, and psychologically very difficult for the woman. She might see a tiny baby come out. In 2013, we had House Bill 2. So now the law in Texas requires that those visits to the abortion facility happen. And again, this is all about ensuring the health and safety of the women who are undergoing this process.
It's so disingenuous. None of these things was ever required before of women using the RU486 as a method to terminate a pregnancy. And there was no justification other than trying to create another barrier for women. When I had a much desired pregnancy, my husband and I were confronted with the understanding that our daughter had a very, very severe brain abnormality that would have made life something that wouldn't resemble any kind of quality of life that we would want. And as two people who loved her and wanted to spare her suffering, we had to confront a very, very difficult decision about terminating that pregnancy. I can't imagine that a politician would love and desire what was best for our daughter Tate as we did. And it strengthens my resolve that politicians in their suits far away from the circumstances of our day-to-day lives have absolutely no business making these decisions for us.
Being involved in monitoring the litigation and watching it go into effect, I think has been very gratifying, because while abortion remains readily available in Texas, several abortion facilities have closed around the state. Some of them in major cities have closed, and House Bill 2 has helped to achieve that.
Can you tell me a little bit about HB2 and how it's affected this facility?
HB2 was enacted in October 2013, and we had to stop offering services because we didn't have physicians with admitting privileges at a hospital. Not for lack of trying and not for lack of qualifications. Hospitals refused to give us applications. So it wasn't that the privileges were denied, we couldn't even apply.
Why? Are they like religious institutions? Or are they like run by churches?
Run by a conservative board, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So we had to close then. We did a lot of fundraising and try to help people by giving them gas cards, bus tickets, and help them try to get to a clinic, the closest being in San Antonio.
And how far away is that?
That is 3.5 hours of a drive, 230 something miles.
In your experience, did those laws that shut the clinic down stop women from seeking abortions?
Oh, absolutely not. Our phones never stopped ringing. It did the complete opposite of what they claimed this law would do. Women's safety. You close down a perfectly safe environment for people to have services they need. And you force them to take desperate measures. And we heard those stories on the phone. A woman called trying to access abortion care, wanted to come see us. I had to explain that we were not offering abortion services. We weren't able to. She said, if I tell you what products I have under my kitchen sink or my bathroom sink, can you tell me what I can take to have an abortion? And you could hear the desperation, and I'm trying to talk to her and try to keep her calm and don't do anything that is going to cause you harm. You have other children. She actually had other children to think about, and she said to me, well, because I have other children is that I need to do this, because I can't afford it. To the day I think about what happened to her. I mean, I did all I could, and I think she was thinking a little more clearly by the time we finished our conversation, but once we hung up the phone, I'm not there anymore. And what happens then? And that's just one call of hundreds, thousands that we receive. That's what this law is doing.
To understand how HB2 impacts people on the ground, we spoke with the whole women's health patient again when she came back for her second dose of the abortion pill.
Right now, I'm I'm a little nervous just of how the pill would affect my body. I dealt more coming here than like dealing with my emotions of wanting to do it. It's just getting here. That's the dreadful thing, and having people look at you and stuff like that. I think that's another thing that women are scared of, is the fact of other people seeing them and judging them. That a lot of women do come here, but nobody wants to speak out. I guess they're just scared, but a lot of women do have abortions. No one knows about it. And I know some people will quickly judge and be like, well, you know, you did this, you did that. You know, it's like, you know what, that's not your life, this is mine. I'm not gonna judge yours, you don't judge mine.
What would you have done if Whole Women's Health was closed?
This is the only place where you can get an actual legal abortion. So if this clinic wasn't here, I wouldn't have pretty much any option besides go to Mexico, but that's not safe to go over there because the doctor's not giving it to you. You're just buying it off the street from any pharmacy. They can give you any kind of pill and say, oh, this is this and this is that, and you take it, you don't know what you're doing with your body. And coming to this clinic, you feel 100% safe that you are taking what you're supposed to be taking.
When Texas clinics close, American women along the border often cross into Mexico in search of the abortion pill. Although abortion is technically illegal in most of Mexico, pharmacies sell ulcer medication that's used for its off-label side effect of causing miscarriage. This gray market, like buying drugs online, is not guaranteed to be safe or reliable. So we're in New Progreso, Mexico, which is just south of the border, and we are going to try to find misoprostol, which shouldn't be too hard because it doesn't seem like you could spit here without hitting a pharmacy. It's like pharmacies and cowboy hats and ponchos and dentist's office, this entire town.
I just went into a pharmacy and very easily purchased misoprostol, enough for one abortion. Misoprostol is actually an ulcer medication, so it's very easily available in any pharmacy here in Mexico. This doesn't have the mifepristone, which is the first drug you take to stop the hormones, to stop the pregnancy. This expels the pregnancy, so you have to take a little bit more than if you had the mifepristone with you. The thing that's really interesting to me being here is that every single pharmacy is advertising Viagra. No one's really advertising that they have misoprostol, but when speaking with all the pharmacists, they say that it's actually the best-selling drug for women at their pharmacies. It's crazy to me that we live in this culture where it's very encouraged to give men boners, but they make it so difficult for women to deal with the consequences of those boners. It's definitely like if I were pregnant and I lived in Texas, I think that maybe I would even just come right here. Because if I don't have the time or the support or much of an income, where else am I gonna go? I mean, this isn't the best neighborhood, but when you need medication, you need medication. It just seems crazy to me that you would have to cross a border to get the help that you really, really need. Access to the abortion pill doesn't have to be this tenuous or dangerous for women. Clinics in other states have taken advantage of the revolutionary advances made by this pill, giving a glimpse of a better future. CareFem in Washington, D.C. provides medicinal abortions exclusively because it is safe, effective, and convenient.
We've had over 50 health centers close in the U.S. within the last several years. Now it can be more challenging for a woman in some areas of the United States to have an abortion or find an abortion than it is in some places in Africa. So we developed carefem to really change the way that abortion was discussed and provided. So one of the things that we did was to begin to speak unapologetically about being an abortion provider. And we put ads saying abortion, yeah, we do that. Then the second step was how are we going to provide it differently? So what we wanted to do is to use pills instead of a surgical procedure to end a pregnancy. And we found that many women really appreciate the opportunity to have a less invasive, more private process that starts in our health center and then finishes in the privacy of our own home.
It seems like it gives women a little bit more control.
Absolutely.
The laws shuttering clinics in Texas are influencing the laws in other states.
Mississippi, Louisiana, they can see what's passed here in Texas, and we've seen a number of state legislatures have been doing something similar.
These laws do not stop women from needing abortions. They just prevent them from accessing them safely.
Let's face it, women of means will always be able to access their constitutionally protected right to have an abortion. In this country, then, we're creating two worlds. A world where women have freedoms and liberty, and a world where other women do not.
It's clear that women will do whatever it takes to end their unwanted pregnancies.
We need to embrace love. The anti-choice movement talks about love all the time, about God's love and all these things, and they're sort of taking it from us, and I think we have to take it back, because real love happens in these clinics.
Politicians need to stop legislating women's bodies and trust that we know what's best for us. Only then can we ensure that women will have access to safe and legal reproductive health care.